So is that, is getting the word out to people like, look, this is not the time to sit and eat bonbons and get, watch Netflix, although that's kind of fun, and do all that. But right now, for us as business people, more than ever, that's what we got to do. And quite frankly, coming out of COVID, you're going to have to do it even harder because we're about to be faced with some pretty heavy stuff too. Inflation, we're going to get hit with that. And I don't want to be doom and gloom, but we are going to have some tough things ahead. And, this war with Ukraine and a couple of other things are going to help.
So was there something that you either reinstalled with your habits or something that you learned brand new in order to get ready for the run that we're going to have to do as leaders? Is there a practice that you were like, listen, I got to dust this old one off, or did create one? What was it?
It was delegate, eliminate, or automate. Delegate, eliminate, or automate. Every morning to wake up and look at my list of things and say, what can I delegate to somebody else so that I can get exponentially bigger and do what I need to do? Because I haven't had an assistant for like a decade, and I finally said, no, I got to go do this. I got to make better use of my time. So delegate, eliminate. What are the things on my list? I don't need to do this. It's on my list, but is it really going to make a difference? Is it going to be something that's fundamentally going to, increase my business, which is what I'm focused on every single day? And then what can I, delegate or automate? Like what other software? Like, we implemented Monday.com, and we tried every system there was, and this is a great endorsement, but I can't think of living without Monday now. I mean, even between my wife and I, we share a list of stuff I've got to do. So, those are the kind of things, or movies I want to watch, or books I want to read, or things I want to go look up. I go put them there. So those were some really cool learnings.
And boy, I'm a queen of that, right? I love systematizing. I love that, and Carrie's with me. She helps me all the time going, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know. Why am I doing that? Actually, I don't need to be doing that. So I think those three are really critical. And I'm sure that becomes the benchmark on the sustainability of the CEOs. Is there any company that you're watching that you think really has this right?
Oh, there's a lot. You see them every single day. They're doing it every single day. I mean, the biggest one you've got to give credit to is Zoom, right? I mean, you think of what our lives would be without Zoom, or you could even say Clubhouse, what we're doing right now. But let's think about Zoom. Zoom changed the way people did business, and we talk about this great resignation. That's bullshit. It's a great transformation. That's what we're seeing. It's not. Let's don't look at the negative side of this thing. Let's look at the positive side of that. And so Zoom is now allowing every business to operate and think differently. I mean, Eric Wang, hats off to him. And I've been a fan of him since the day I knew he left WebEx and started this little company. I was one of his first ever. In fact, I'm responsible. If you look at Zoom when you get on it next, go look at the lower right-hand corner. He calls that the Jeff Hayzlett button, because I called him up one day and I was so mad because I couldn't hang up on Zoom. This was back when it had just text on the bottom. And I couldn't find out how to hang up. And he says, right there, it's right there. I said, where? And he said, it's right there. And he pointed until I finally saw it, and it said leave or end at the time. And I said, Eric, that's just, as you know, I swear a lot. So I said, that's bullshit. I said, why don't you make it red or something so we know how to get it the heck out of it? And so the next day he called me, and he was so giddy and excited, and his American Chinese accent said, look. And I said, what? And he goes, it's red. We call that the Jeff Hayzlett button. So anyway, that was. But I think Zoom is doing a great job and has transformed so many great businesses. And then you got hats off to all of these restaurants, right, that have really redefined their business. I mean, I'm in awe of business leaders and innovative, people who just get it done, and they do whatever it takes, and that's just so freaking awesome.
And I think that's the differentiator, right? I mean, there's so many iconic restaurants here in New York that are gone, right?
Yeah.
Who just could not make the pivot.
Yeah, my favorite one, Scallywags. Scallywags, my Irish bar on 38th and 9th. It's, oh God, I'm still. They sent me a glass from there because I used to go there every day. So.
But it happens, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
Especially with you, right, with the C-suite network, you can spot right away the company that's going to succeed versus the company that's really going to struggle. And is that a spider instinct for you, or is there something you specifically look for in the leaders?
Well, you always look at the leadership team, but I always look at mood. You can smell it. You can smell it see it. You said you spot it. You think about when you walk into a business, you can sense the mood of the business. You get that, it's that spidey sense, the hair comes back up on the back of your neck, but you get the sense of what's the cadence of the business. And by just feeling, sitting around, even just listening to the language, to the, they're using progressive language or they're using, obstacle language, you get a real sense for that pretty quick. And then you'll get a sense for its value, the values of the company, and then the culture. Because everybody looks at culture all the time. I look at mood, because mood will kill a business. Your culture is your culture. It takes a long time to develop that culture. I'm Kodak, you're Kodak, we're all Kodak. When we were there, and people when I was there, used to say to me, Jeff, make it like it used to be. Well, if you're living and hoping your best days are behind you, well, that you're dead. But mood. So mood. Imagine going into a great restaurant. I mean, one of the best restaurants that you've ever been in, but the attitude's shitty. You can sense that this is not. It's not a fun place. Not the kind of place. But you don't want to go back. But go to a kind of a crappy restaurant, but the mood's great. It's fun. We're sitting there. Yeah, so what? It smells like beer, but it's a fun place to be, and that's how you can kind of judge a company too.
And I love going to dinner with you. A, you pick the best places, and two, you are so much fun to be around. And I think, yes, attitude gets overlooked so often. I would rather have a good attitude, a hungry beaver that is looking to learn how to kind of keep up with my pace, versus somebody who knows everything, but they got a bad attitude.
Hey, we went to the Asian Cuban restaurant.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
Cauliflower was awesome. Yeah.
And so, Randy, of course, you had to beat me to the punch, right? So, okay, you included him in your book first, so now I'm like behind you.
Well, I knew Randy. I knew Randy when I was the chief marketing officer at Kodak. I was down in Naples for a speech at the Ritz. He found out I was in town, and then he did a profile for me in the local magazine. That's how we met.
I did. We met. We were introduced. I showed up at the hotel. I didn't crash, so and got his book, and I wrote about him in the Naples Daily News, and that series of columns became that first book. And I had the wrong publisher, but Jeffrey sort of stepped in and said, I'm going to help you, and did, and really put it on as far as promoting and really raising the visibility of the product tremendously.
Well, you interviewed so
people
many.
Are still reading the book. It's
a good book. It's timely. I mean, you interviewed so many celebrities, so many icons, and so many people of interest. They don't always have to be celebrities. They don't have to always be, the head of $1 billion business. They could just be great people and got great ideas. I mean, the people that I admire the most was a plumber. Another one was a mechanic and a former machine gunner in the Vietnam War and a helicopter. And those are the people I admire. And so I love to hear those inspiring stories. And you write a lot of them. It's awesome.
That's how Amelia and I got together. Well, actually, Amelia got on a plane in a pandemic, early, and flew to Naples to see me. And we were introduced by somebody who said, you two have to meet. And she appeared on my podcast first and is now a regular on the podcast and invited me to join her here.
Yeah, know what? This might be politically incorrect, and so you guys can yell at me all you want, but I still don't know all the pronouns and all this stuff. I'm learning. I'm doing the best I can do, because I'm an old cowboy from South Dakota, but I'm also got the biggest heart. I don't mean insult anyone, but if I were a woman, I would be Amelia. That's, what I'm saying? And when I look at her and see the kind of person that she is, what I'm saying? It's like watching me with breasts, okay? And it's just.
I still want to be you.
Hey.
I still want to be you.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't want to look like me, but that's that part, although I tell everybody, hey, I'm eye candy, unfortunately, super chunky size, but there you go.
Well, I'm going to go as Amelia for Halloween next year, so I've sort of one-upped you already. So that was the plan.
That could be scary.
I'm going to look good. I'm going to look good.
Oh man, when you set into a meeting with Amelia, it's like raising the nuclear reactor rods out of the cooling tank.
But look,
listen, we've had so much fun in your office, right?
Yeah.
You and Damon John, right? We've had so much fun in your office, but you forced me, like you always get me dead in my tracks, right? You'll say something and I'm like, damn, that was a good question. And now I'm pondering the answer, right? You're really good to get right to the heart of what people skip over when they're building a team or finding the right strategy, right? Or who's the right pairing for an investment or whatever. You really have that mind that causes me to think where I ouch, right? I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Like, hang on, it's coming, easy download, right? You have that kind of brain that is so much fun to play with.
Well, I appreciate that. That comes from, and by the way, when I talk about myself, I have to sometimes do it in third person, not that and it's not bragging if it's real. So let's be, I also understand myself and get it. I know, my good points, my bad points, but the reason that I come to be like that is because other people got me in the same tracks, right? And I've been through those same things. I've sat before a board of directors in a multi-billion-dollar company and have the CEO turn to the one page out of a 250-page deck and say, "What's this?" and go, "Oh, crap." He found it immediately, the underbelly. And so I've learned, in those situations like that, you just say, by the way, you're going to get to page 243, and that's going to see our biggest flaw. But before we get to that, you want to put those things, you want to be transparent. And that's one of the things I probably get the most kudos about is being genuine and or transparent. Because it's hard enough being yourself. Why would you want to be somebody else? Why would you want to act a different way? And I just don't have time for it, and now I'm 61. I just passed the birthday of my father when he passed. So I've now out-survived every male relative in my family. So I'm living on frickin' borrowed time. So I don't have time. And that's just the way I look at stuff. And that's another thing, Amelia, that COVID taught me. There's certain things I like and want to do, and I have the power to do them. So why the hell aren't I doing it? And why not just be who you are and do what you want and do it the way you want it because you can. So none of this fake it till you make it bullshit. Just be you. It is what it is. And that's the life lessons. People always in interviews they say, "Well, what's your biggest mistake?" And I say, "I don't know. I haven't made it yet." And what I mean by that is, of course, I make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. We all fail. It isn't about failing fast. It's about winning fast. And so what I try to do is just how can we get to where we want to go? What problem are we trying to solve? And how can we do it better? And how can we scale it bigger? And that's it.
Well, and I think that's why you are so strong across all TV networks, because you're so concise and you're so strong in being able to show people the thinking, like where you start to where you need to go. And you're easy to follow in your thinking, and the conciseness and the directness, I love. That is my personality. And so I really gravitate to other people that are clear with me, because I am no good at mind reading. I'm no good at that subtle clues of what you're trying to tell me. I like directness. And so and same thing with your books. Your books are awesome, right? Your books really are just laid out for people with no sugar coating and none of the, painful 9,000 storytelling that's in there that doesn't get to what I really need to do as a business person.
Yeah, I have to jump in on this though, because I'm still stuck on language and mood. And we talk about people connecting.
There's therapy for that.
I encourage people here in this room, feel the mood of these two people. Why do you think I want to be around Jeffrey Hayzlett and Amelia? I mean, and that's what, until you sit in an audience where
and you should see us when we're together. You should see us when we're together.
Yeah. Oh, but you're together now. I mean, but when you're in an audience, Jeffrey is direct but upbeat. There is a combination in his communication style that is fun and approachable and vulnerable. At the same time, he hits you with the truth. Man, Jeffrey, that's a difficult. I haven't mastered that one. I'm not even close to that.
Well, and I appreciate that, but that just comes from loving other people, because I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, "I can't wait to be stupid." There are a few, but we all know who they are. We got on a list of paper, we pass them around. But but by and large, everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to make contributions. So what can we do to find those people? People are always surprised. I answer my own email. I respond to everybody. You write to me, I'm going to get back to you. By the way, it's jeff@c-suitenetwork.com, c-suitenetwork.com. You write to me, I'll write back. You want my phone number, 212-786-2483. That's my direct cell number. And I put stuff like that. People say, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Well, because if somebody needs help, let's help them. Let's figure a way to do that." And by the way, there might be a pony in there for me somewhere, If nothing else, it just makes me feel better.
So what was it? What made you decide? I mean, again, you didn't have to build another company. Why did you decide to take the risk all over again and build C-Suite Network?
Because the power of this network is unbelievable. I mean, we have like 75 TV shows, 450 podcast shows. We're going to double in size. Last year we grew 170% on the top line, 684% on the bottom line. We have over 10,000 paid members. We have over 350,000 opt-in people. I mean, this is a network of like, you need to know someone, we know them, right? And that's the power. And so when I'm sitting in a C-suite of a Fortune 100, or I'm on 14 boards, 4 of them publicly traded companies, that's what I do every single day. People call me, hey, I need this, or I know this, or hey, you should talk to so-and-so. That's what I do. I'm sitting in the boardroom right now of Americana Media. It's a brand new television and a radio and now podcast network that's just launched. Think of it as the Hispanic Fox station, right? 18 hours of programming. Hey, look, I'm a former chief of staff for Tom Daschle, George McGovern, but I'm sitting in a right-wing conservative boardroom for a new channel, new bunch of channels, but a new network for conservative Hispanics. Why? Because they're underrepresented. It's a voice of people who has every right to speak up, who hasn't been represented. And guess what? There's a shitload of money to be made around it too. Okay. So, and by the way, when we announced that I was going to be on that board, people wrote to him and said, how dare you put this guy on? What's the deal? Why are you doing this? And, and then people, then the cancel culture came after me saying, well, this Democrat, Jeff Hayzlett, why is he doing it? And I said, look, last I checked, the First Amendment, allowed for free speech. And by the way, the more that we talk, it isn't about me changing your opinion, Amelia. It's about understanding who you are and understanding where you're going. And the better I understand you, the better you understand me, the better we can do something greater together. And that's what this is all about, is doing things like that, Amelia. So, what legacy will you leave here on this earth? And I'm not talking about the Hayzlett Foundation or something like that. I'm just talking about impacting real people, real ideas, and impacting value. And that's what I try to do.
And I think that's the misunderstanding. When great leaders get together and work together, and you've worked with so many great leaders, they don't sit around and all get along. They don't. Oh, no. There's always conflict. And so if you are not comfortable moving through conflict in a respectful manner, you'll never make it to those boards. Those boards, I keep telling people, come to just one of my board meetings, and they will chew you up and spit you out like there's nobody's business. It's not pleasant, but I learned from every one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Healthy tension, and that's what you really should be striving for. In my talks, and Randall knows this in my last second or third book, I actually speak on this on stage. I said, we all have to become chief tension officers. That's our job, is to create tension, because good, healthy debate, good, healthy tension gets great things. It's like you're working out, which is not something I normally do. But if I were to work out on a regular basis, right, I would get aches and pains. I'd push myself to the limit. It's that tension that makes you healthier. And that's the kind of thing you should be doing. So in a boardroom, you should question everybody's assumptions. You should question what is the goal. Because if you start to have that debate, you and I will get to a greater place. That's why one time I on my television show, I went and interviewed Life Technologies. They were a $3 billion company. I'd helped them do a roll up. They bought about 40 companies, and then they sold to Thermo Fisher for $13.4 billion. So I said to the CEO, hey, you just sold the company and you just sold yourself out of a job. I want to come down, go in the boardroom, and watch what you guys do as you basically walk yourself out of a job. He said, yeah, come on down. Well, so in one of the segments, I went with him, and he was speaking to a group of Harvard Business School graduates, and there was a local alumni association, and he spoke, and he says that leaders have to be irrational. And I went, whoa, what? And I wrote that down. I got my producer to get me a picture or a photo or video of me writing it down. I said, now get this, because I'm gonna drill his ass. And so when afterwards, I said, why did you say that? Well, because you're a publicly traded company, you're a biotech company, you're mapping the human genome. If anything, you've got to be precise, not reckless, not irrational. You should be rational. If anything, I want you to be rational. He goes, no. See, most CEOs, we got to tell people we're going to go from point A, and we draw an arrow up, and we're going to go to point B. but we really have to tell everybody we're going to go beyond point B to point C, and everybody's going to think we're irrational. Everybody's going to think we're a little crazy because we know not everybody can go to C, but we'll at least get to B. And if we said B, we only got halfway between A and B. So that's our job, is to create that tension. I thought that was a great analogy, to learn that lesson.
Can I tell you something, Jeffrey?
Sure.
There is something you said, and this is related to we're talking about the boardroom and getting along. You said something to me when we first met years ago that actually kind of haunts me. And I think people here need to hear this. You cannot be a thought leader without having enemies.
Hey, you got to have haters. You got to have haters.
Without having haters. And let me tell you, I'm Mr. Nice Guy. I am looking for the best in people. I am polite. I'm all about Emily Post. I still, and I do believe that I've held myself back because I don't have the haters. Yet I look at what I stand for is collaboration, is communication, is exactly what you said, getting to know people who are not like me. But unless I get inside their head and try to understand why they do why they think what they think, I will never understand why they do what they do. But I don't know how to take that advice from you on my platform. I'm just not hated, Jeffrey. I'm just too damn likable.
Well, you got to get more controversial,
The most controversial thing I said is that I'm going to go as Amelia for Halloween this year. That's the most controversial thing I've ever said.
That's
Amelia.
And she didn't care because she helped me pick up the costume. So I mean,
Randy, can I jump in just for 2 minutes? Only because I have to jump off the stage, unfortunately, because I'm just loving this conversation. This is
David. Mr. Spizak, please meet Mr. Jeffrey Hayzlett. You two, if you don't know each other, I will make sure.
Yeah, it's a climb on many levels that we don't know each other, Jeffrey, but we will. I promise we will. Because I would love to hear more from you. But here's the thing. First of all, let's start with this. I was born, Jeffrey, on November 11th, 1959. So as I oftentimes tell people when I'm introduced to them, I always say, hi, I'm David, and I'm from the future. So I'm exactly 1 year ahead of you in terms of rotations around the sun. But so that's just kind of interesting in its own right. I love what you're doing in terms of creating a network of very powerful thought leaders and people that are shaping what's happening in organizations around the world. And because what those people are doing is, everything filters down ultimately to the consumer. Everything filters down to every single person who is consuming a product or a service. And we don't oftentimes think of the fact that the very phone, for example, we held in our hand. I had two of my great customers for years at my Mercedes store was two gentlemen. One was named Steve Jobs. One was named Steve Wozniak. And to deal with those people on a day-by-day or monthly basis was really extraordinary to get some insight and to understand, like when we see a Macintosh, when we see a phone in our hand, that is the byproduct of the incredible, not just the technology, but it was the mind of Steve Jobs, as you know. And Gordon Moore, who started Intel, was a customer of mine. David Packard was a customer of mine. Larry Ellison was a customer. Tom Jermiluk, Mark Andreessen. So I had the opportunity to be around all those people as well as some great athletes and entertainers. So I think what you're doing is absolutely fascinating. And I think it's really important for people to know when you hear C-suite, you think, you might be thinking, I'm not in the C-suite, doesn't apply to me. I say bullshit. It does apply to you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
You may be the chairwoman or the chairman of the board of your home. You may be the chairwoman, chairman of your own solopreneur company. But that mindset is so critical. You're never going to be that bigger company if you don't have that mindset to a degree. And Randy, I just have to say to you, it's easy to like you. It's easy to love you. And I could see why many people do. But the simple truth is, that if you are, if you're a happy, loving, affable person, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, one of the things we learn in social media is most people in social media are not actually authentic. Most people are posting what they believe somebody is going to like. They're not posting what they actually believe themselves. And so what happens, a really cool process, when anybody starts being completely authentic, you don't have to change a thing about you, but completely be authentic to your soul and everything you say. And ultimately what's going to happen is you will have haters. You will have people that will be contrarian to you. You will have people that say, yeah, I used to like that guy, but I'm off of him. And that's cool because they really weren't one of your people to begin with. And so I think if you don't have haters, the reality is, the simple truth is you're really not relevant. You're not as compelling as you can be. And I'll leave it there.
Hence the word leader.
Well, listen, if I can just jump in on that, Randy, and what David said, David, that was brilliant. Another friend of mine says, if everybody loves you, you've got a serious problem, because that means you're not really showing up as the true version of you, because you're holding back because you fear someone else's opinion of you and maybe not being liked as much as you would like. So I think that's brilliant. And to what you said, Jeff, as well, I think that's, again, you were right on point as well. And what you do of making people uncomfortable, and that's part of, I think, what David Spizak is talking about as well, because people don't like to be made uncomfortable. So when you jump in, you make people uncomfortable, you make them question perhaps some of their beliefs or whatever it is. But in the boardroom, as Jeff said, that's brilliant, because we say it all the time in personal development, right? All growth lies outside of your comfort zone. So if everybody's comfortable in the board meeting, guess what? You're not growing. If you're comfortable in your life all the time, guess what? You're not growing. Granted, you might be growing sideways, but you're certainly not growing as a person. You're not growing your relationship, and your business isn't growing. So all growth is outside of your comfort zone.
Tony, are you inside of a wood chipper by chance?
Man, I'll tell you, that's why I'm as quiet as I am today, because I actually have some construction going on in a different part of my house. But this microphone that I'm using, because I'm not just on the app, it picks up everything, everything.
Yeah.
I like the fact, Jeffrey, that you said they weren't my people anyway.
Well,
I do believe I'm authentic. I do believe I say what I mean, but I really want people to get along. I really want people to listen. And when I have a guest on, it's about them, and I want to respect what they have to say and support them in speaking. So I'm also, as Amelia knows, not as good as asking for things for myself, which has come up on this show before. And I bring this up with me because I know I'm not alone. I know there's people in this room right now that are exactly like me going, oh, I don't have haters.
Yeah, but it's not about attracting people that don't like you or that thing. It's about pushing the thought process beyond where it needs to be. So it gets down to fundamentally like, oh, we're gonna do 2 million in revenue next year. No, do 4, and let me show you how you do that. And this is why we should do it. And somebody might say, well, we can't do that. I sit with a sales team member yesterday who wasn't thinking enough. He Americana Media. They wanted to go and sponsor a local show and be at the show and then broadcast from it. And he says, well, we'll have to pay the fee. I said, we're not paying the fee. We're freaking Americano. So no, you have to stretch people beyond. I said, we are never going to pay to be at someone's as an exhibitor at someone's show. They can, in essence, pay us because we're going to broadcast their show and so forth. And as a thought leader, one of the things you got to be doing right now, it's really the brand of you. And I've been doing this since the front cover of being on the front cover of Forbes back in 2008. When they first
really being on the cover, not buying it and actually posting it like you were. Let me just make it clear. He was actually on the cover versus all of these wannabes.
Right. Well, thank you. And and they named me the celebrity CMO because I was using the brand of me and the other executives and selling the company. Because I said, sell me, sell the company. Sell the company, sell me. So I've been practicing this brand of you, and that's what most of us need to do, especially with content. And COVID's really changed the way we look at things. It didn't cause the digital revolution, but it sure accelerated it because days have become weeks, weeks have become months, months have become years. And so now you have to be able to grow content and use content in a way that puts you in position you as this category leader and leading the category and being the thought leader of that category. No, I don't care whether you're a dry cleaner. You can be a category leader. You can be the doctor of spots, and you can go out and sell you to show everybody how you're the best damn dry cleaner. There's a guy doing a TV show. Now, this guy doing a TV show who does nothing but clean spots. I mean, come on. And now he's the category leader, right? And I guarantee there's some people that are haters about him because he uses this or uses that. So that's, I think, important. And that's a lot of what we do at the C-Suite Network is a trusted community to help leaders use content to grow their businesses, grow their lives, to grow their knowledge. And that's really the kind of fundamental thing that we're trying to do.
You know, and
there's a guy on TikTok. There's a guy on TikTok that does nothing but does TikTok videos of power washing cement, and he's crushing it, absolutely crushing it.
I've watched that video because I love power washing.
Me too. He's crushing it. But it's so interesting because the reality is, for everybody out there, the reality is, and this has never been more true than it is today. The bar of customer service has never been lower. It has never been easier to trip over that bar and to wow somebody. And you know, Jeffrey, I've done a lot of work with Google, and I love their mantra. Amelia, their mantra is know me better, serve me faster, wow me everywhere. And if any small business can do that, any business can do that. And so if you know me better, then your ads they're not junk, they're relevant, right? They're timely, they mean something to me. If you serve me faster, I'm going to love you because I don't have enough time. And that's true of anybody out there in the world. That's why most of the apps that are huge these days exist, is they save time. They give people time back. And if you wow me everywhere, you're going to stand out in a major way. So that to me, it's not always easy, but it's simple for any business out there to have explosive growth if they pay attention.
And by the way, I just want to jump in and say that, you know, I had heard this one probably 2 or 3 years ago is, do you really have any haters? If you have people following you that are haters, you don't have haters, you've got confused supporters, right? Because they're still watching you. They're still frequenting and watching your show or seeing what you're doing. So do you really have any haters? No. And I'll tell you this, Randy, until you have some haters, you haven't really made it. So look forward to those haters and to those trolls, because that's when you know you're really starting to rub some feathers the wrong way, which, again, you have to at some point to really break through to the next level.
So David and Jeffrey, I just put you guys in a group chat, and I know you both are going to thank me for this bromance that is going to happen between the two of you guys, because you both have amazing minds. And so I'm excited to see where you guys take this. I want to take this moment and open it up to the stage to ask questions. I mean, this is an opportunity to actually lean into one of the greatest minds. So please go ahead and flash your mics, or can I jump in so we can kind of take a cue here?
And you know what I want to just say? I'm going to invite everybody, hit that little square button at the bottom of the screen, share this to Clubhouse, invite, tag people in. This is a rare opportunity to speak with Jeff and, of course, Amelia and Randy and Dave and everybody that's in here. So make sure that you're sharing this room. Don't keep this a secret because there's just gold being dropped here.
Do not forget, this man is an expert on content. We really haven't even attacked that to the degree that I would love to find. So if your questions are about the right content, how to do content, what to look for, and the importance of that,
contenting, marketing. You can remember he was the CMO of Kodak.
This is where we need to go. Yeah.
Who would like to go first?
Well, I just want to say one other thing, Jeffrey. You were talking about restaurants earlier, and that's one of the things that's in my wheelhouse. I'm a partner for a very significant group of restaurants called the Michael Mina Group.
Oh yeah.
And so we have over 40 4-star and 5-star restaurants around the country, plus Dubai. And when everybody else is closing restaurants, we're opening restaurants. When we actually raised, we had a funding round. We raised money 6 months into the pandemic, when most restaurants were closed. We raised money at a higher market cap than we did a year before the pandemic. And that organization is so masterfully run for many, many reasons. You would love everything about Michael, about his president Patrick, who literally grew up in the industry together. When Michael had his first executive chef job at Aqua years ago, Patrick was in his young 20s. They literally grew up together, but they just run an extraordinary organization. They absolutely create a career. Their organization is much more like Nike or Apple, Intel than it is like most restaurant groups, because they create a career path. They created a technology platform called they have recipe exchange and talent exchange. They have every single person across the country in Dubai in their talent exchange, everybody they would like to hire, people that are prospective hires, and they literally give people a career path. So I've watched over the years somebody who was used to be the person that greeted you at the front of the door, and now they're the general manager of a restaurant in Las Vegas. So it's really extraordinary. The things that you were saying, I hope people again take them to heart, because some of it sounds like fable to people, and the reality is that what Tony said earlier, the job of a leader is to keep their people uncomfortable, is to create a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of chaos, because if you don't disrupt yourself, somebody else will. If you don't figure out how to beat the current version of yourself, a competitor will. And so it takes guts, it takes audacity, it takes a lot of strength to do that. But when you look at somebody like a Michael Mina, who has done things that, frankly, most fantastic chefs just couldn't have the ability to do. He's built a 9-figure restaurant organization, and it is completely possible to win and to succeed in any market.
And they're very good. Bourbon Steak, I've been to that one. I think he's got one in Wyoming, in Jackson Hole too, as I recall.
We have one in Jackson Hole, Seattle. We've got Georgetown. We've opened up Nashville. We've got 6 in Vegas. We've got 6 in the Bay Area. We've got a few down in LA, Scottsdale. We've got the Waldorf down in Orange County, 3 in Florida, South Florida. So yeah, and we are literally opening up restaurants. I mean, it's extraordinary to see.
That's awesome.
This is Tony Mo, Nefertiti. I have a quick question, if I may.
Go ahead, Tony Mo.
About content. So, and first, thank you for being here, Jeffrey. And hello to all of the moderators. In today's changing time with social media, do you think that it's important or pertinent to be concerned with the algorithms? And I'm asking because if I'm being authentic, then I don't really concern myself with the algorithms. Do you think that that's important?
Sometimes it's important, depending on when you're trying to be being a little bit more promotional. But here's what I do. I stopped giving a rat's ass about, and I've got, by the way, I say that, and I've got 700,000 followers on Twitter and 300,000 on LinkedIn and so forth. But I don't care about likes. I don't care about eyeballs and ears. I care more about hearts and minds. I care about more about being me. And if you follow me, you'll see I write about stuff I like. Brands love me because I talk positively about brands. I never say a bad word. Look, if a flight's late, it's late. If this is bad. I don't write negative things. I don't want to, because it's just not who I am. But I write a great thing about Toomey, or I write things about Cadillac. I write things about this. By the way, when you do that, they give shit to you too for free, which is cool. That's not my purpose. Although I do write a lot about bacon and scotch, because I do try to get a lot of bacon and scotch, and it does give me the Wienermobile from Oscar Mayer occasionally. But but write about what you like, the way you want to do it, and the way you want to. Because when I first started, I was one of the first people on Twitter. Less than 1,000 people. And it was because one of my social media managers at Kodak said, hey, you really got to do this. Well, what the hell is this? And they taught me, and I went, hey, this is pretty cool. This is going to be big. And, so, started talking to Jack right away, when it's just like me, Jack, and less than 1,000 people. And somebody said, what are you trying to write like? I said, I'm writing like I'm writing for my family, because that's how I was writing, is whether it was my Kodak family or it was my real family. I write the stuff that I want them to know what I'm doing or what I'm having fun with. And that's kind of how I still do it today. I'll see something like one day I'm going for breakfast in New York from my apartment, and I saw a doll's head next to a miniature Jack Daniels bottle. And I said, that had to be a wild party, and take a picture of that and then put it down, or I'd start finding a random shoe from time to time and think, where's the other shoe? And I would try to take a picture and match it just for fun. But I've had some things go viral, like right after, New Year's Eve, when everybody's doing all these New Year's resolutions. I saw some guy with a T-shirt that I shared his picture, and it said, eggs are exercise eggs. Eggs are a side for bacon, and that got like 500,000 shares and like literally 5 million views. So who knows what makes it do it? Do it for what you want to do, and just like podcasts. Like a lot of people like want to go do a podcast, and I tell you to do a podcast not for fame but for fortune. And the fortune is go and interview the people you want to do business with. Don't worry about your downloads. I will tell you that if you go and take let's say you do a podcast every single week, and you interview the people you want to do business with, you will close at least 1/3 of them. And as you get better at it, you'll close more. So if you're closing 1/3, like 15 people, 18 people a year as new business for you're a coach, a trainer, you want to do it for speaking, you're a consultant to major corporations, and you're getting those people that you want to do business with, and you're closing 1/3. Then somebody said, well, how do I get more? Well, do more podcasts. Instead of 1 a week, do 2 a week, do 3 a week. Go do every day if you want to increase your volume, if that's one of the things that's working for you. So do it with a reason and purpose first, and then play it out. Now, if you're sorry, you got me on a roll. You put the quarter in, you get to go for the full ride. So like Amazon, I can tell you there's a way to Amazon is all about the algorithms. Okay, if you don't have 100 likes, or you need 101 likes, you're never going to be in the top categories, and you're never going to be a bestseller. And then you need to try to get to 1,000. And 100 books a day. Anything within a 0 will move the algorithm. So you need to be at 10, 100, 1,000 in order to do the things you want to do. So there are times to play the algorithm.
Great advice. Thank you so much.
Thanks for asking. Thank you for joining.
And Jeffrey, that's what I take pride in our 11 o'clock hour. I really do, because I constantly am saying to the Genius G100, it is who you know. It is who you know and surround yourself with all the time. And the people that come on here that we interview are the people that we are learning from, right? I am inspired. I learned from you, and I know you, right? And so when I bring people on here, I'm like, if you want to know why I am good at whatever I do, it's because I know you. It's because I know the people, right? We had Michael Gordon, right? The founder of Teledyne. I know him. He sits on my board. It's the people that I know that forced me to become the better version of who I am, because you won't tolerate anything less, right? And so that's what the whole purpose, what I started doing this 11 o'clock hour was exactly that. Let me introduce you to the people that inspire me and who I go to when I need help.
Yeah. Well, that's the name of the game. And that's why I love the power of a network like C-Suite Network or whatever network. By the way, you shouldn't just be part of one network. You should be parts of many of them, many tribes. And many tribes become a nation, and that's what we should be doing. So I belong to numerous networks, and of course I lead the C-Suite Network, and then we're made up of many other mini networks, which are many people would call masterminds. We call them peer-to-peer councils. So we've got numerous councils now that are part of the C-Suite Network, and that's our fastest growing part of our network, is all these mini tribes coming together underneath the umbrella, underneath the sequoia tree, in this lush ecosystem that we've kind of created. And it is who you know. And by the way, me knowing this, but well, let me call this person, let me call this person, let me call this person. I mean, it's no different than I said I had a $10 million meeting this morning, because yesterday I sent an email to somebody I know that really works with a lot of high net worth individuals who have large capital gains. And I said, hey, look, I'm looking at buying this network, and I'm going to do this. I said, I really would appreciate if you could be on the lookout. Within 5 minutes, he sent an email to this guy named Danny. I'm not going to say his last name. He said, Danny, you need to look at this. And then Danny wrote back and said, yes, I want to meet. And we set a call for this morning. And that was our call from this morning. As a result of our call from this morning, as a result of the call this morning, $10 million he's in. And now I'm sticking around for an extra day. That I was leaving, that I'm in Miami. I'm going to go meet him for breakfast tomorrow. So it's amazing, just by people you know. You're exactly right.
I love it. Who else would like to ask a question as we come in here to the last 10 minutes?
By the way, I just want to comment on that last quote that he said, which was amazing. It takes many tribes to make a nation. Man, that's powerful. When you think about, the groups that you're in, you're right. You can't just be in one or two groups. You've got to be in many, because many tribes make a nation. Love that.
Yep. And many nations make a world. There you go.
Boom.
Boom. Boom.
Hey, Jeffrey, I have a quick question. This is Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, thanks for being here today. I wanted to know, as you work with leaders and you're trying to turn something around, obviously you're doing that because there's a problem. So is there something in particular that you run up against, some resistance that's common, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, the biggest one is you find are captains of no. Okay, we tried that. It's not in the budget. All those kinds of things. In fact, in my third book, Think Big, Act Bigger, I had like 4 or 5 pages just devoted to the bullshit captains of no statements that you hear all the time. And so there are always going to people who are champions of no, captains of no, who are the naysayers, the obstructionists who stand in the way. And your job is to just constantly say, we will beat you. We will beat you. And so I appreciate you saying no. I appreciate you saying that. I don't care. That's what we said we're going to do. If we all collectively agree that this is what we're going to do and we're going to sign off on that, then by God, we're going to get there. So don't tell me there's not budget. There's budget. We just didn't make a decision to make enough to reallocate the budget in the right way. Or we tried that once again. Got it. When I first started walking as a baby, I fell on my face a great number of times. You can see that today by looking at me. So I got better at it, and that's what we're going to do. Because eventually you got to crawl, you got to walk, you got to run. And so that's the thing you have to do. And you just have to be relentless, absolutely relentless at overcoming those obstacles and those champions and captains of no. And that's the biggest thing you typically see. And so you're the first thing I always do is find them, isolate them, and try to move them. I'll certainly go over them, but many times I'll just have to say, we love you, but we're going to miss you. And because in anything we do, you're going to sell something, whatever. A third of the people get it right away, a third eventually get it, and a third never do. Your job is to always find the third that never will and get them out of the company, get rid of them, move them on. But identify the people that are going to help you get there and go.
I love that. Thank you.
Jeffrey, this is Tarico. You're dropping gems, first of all, man, and I appreciate all the information that you're sharing. My question for you is, you're in marketing, and so many people have ridiculed young people for their interest in social media, but it seems to me that a lot of young people have understood the shift and the transition that was coming and got ahead of the curve, and they're capitalizing off of it more. How do you see the youth who are capitalizing off of this, and now they're being incubated and being called by major companies to come in and work with them? How are you seeing that pivot, how people are recruiting talent now within these major industries?
Well, it's interesting because in the workplace today, we have more generations that work in the business. There's literally 5 generations that are now working inside of businesses today. And if you look back 15 years ago, it was only 2 generations. When I went to work at Kodak in 2006, the average length of an employee at the company, the average was 29 years. It's phenomenal. So that meant that most people were in their, literally in their 40s and 50s, and many in their 60s. And that was the average. If you think about how the average age, if you came into a company at 22 and you've been there for 29 years, you can do the math. It's like, holy crap, So what I think, as I said, I think we're going through this not great resignation. We're really going through a great transformation. And I think leaders are realizing that the way we used to run the businesses, it's going by its side. So 1/3 of our businesses will go. 1/3 of them getting it right away. Those are very progressive companies. They see this. They figure out how to do it. They're being very aggressive about, knowing what they don't know and being aware of the things they don't know. And by more of that, how do I get to where I need to be? And then who is my best guide? And my best guide is not the senior person. It's sometimes the brand new recruit. And so how do I take on that behavior in order to get to the kind of behavior that I want to have as a company? And I think that leaders are just getting smarter. We used to do planning sessions a couple times a year, and then I found out we don't need we don't need a lot to do a research. I spend $60 million a year on research. I just got to read Twitter. I just got to read the comment sections on the pages of the people who come and say your camera sucks, or you should do this, or you should do that, or you should make a waterproof one. Things like that. That was that's eye-opening. It took young people quite frankly, doing it a different way than doing, video interviews or, focus group research or that kind of stuff. So just a different way of doing it. Just open your eyes.
I love it. I think we have time for one more before we turn it over to the social media show. Who would like to chime in here with us as we really thank Jeffrey for being here today? And I'm going to have to hunt you down the next time you're in New York City. I know you're in Miami right now, but the next time you come to New York, I'm going to be a stalker.
No, we have to, Jeffrey, I need to find out from Jeffrey, how do we interact with you? Where do you want people to go?
All right. That's so
online?
nice of you. Yeah. So by the way, go to C-Suite Network. So C-Suite Network. By the way, we have an event every Friday. Invite all of you to come to. It's kind of like, Friday you normally used to go meet a bunch of colleagues at the bar afterwards. But for a long time, last couple of years, couldn't do that. So we created a group on Friday where we just get together. It's this Friday. It's at, I think, 4 or 5 o'clock, I think, Eastern time. And everyone's invited. You bring water to wine to whiskey. We all get in the thing. We talk a few minutes. Then we break into breakouts so you can sit at a table just like you were at a bar with everybody else. And it's about giving everybody a high five or a pat in the back because you had a great week, or a big hug because you had a shitty week. So go there, C-Suite Network.com, and then go to events, click on it, you're all invited. Or email me at jeff@csuitenetwork.com, C-Suitenetwork.com.
And we have
I got the commercial in.
Thank you. That was nice.
The commercial in.
Yeah, he's pinned at the top as well. And everybody should give him a link through on that. And Jeffrey, I just again, I'm going to stalk you the next time you're in New York City.
Done.
Because we are long overdue, my friend. Long overdue.
Well, he's in Miami. He's 2 hours from me, and I didn't get invited over to Miami, so I don't know what's up with this. He knows I'm 2 hours away.
If you left now,
I'll be here. I'll be here a lot. You'll see me here a lot. So.
Well, then you call, and I love going to Miami. It's a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
And there you go. You see that? Thank you, Dora Maria. Thank you. The link is at the top for people who want to be able to join his Friday club. You see the CC Network. Jeffrey, wow. I'm your biggest fan. I'm absolutely 100% your biggest fan. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to get some FaceTime, and I will chase you down so that I can get on your calendar.
Thank you. And by the way, click on that link and go to, there's another thing you should go to. This is a cool thing. If you have any W-2 employees, you can get a rebate of up to $26,000. 5 out of 6 CEOs don't know that you can get this tax credit. They just opened it up. And if you go there, there's a little, go to the services tab and click on that and it'll tell you about it.
That's right. That's for W-2 employees, for people who have you that not 1099, not 999. This is a W-2 employee.
Yeah, I'm getting $484,000 back. I'm excited. I didn't know about it. 2 weeks ago, I never knew about this thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is an amazing plan that's available now, and everybody should take advantage of it for sure. I got that for a few of my clients as well. And I just want to say again, echo what Amelia said. Amazing having you here. Thank you, Randy and Amelia, for bringing Jeff to us. I look forward. I'm in New Jersey, so at some point we'll look forward to connecting as well.
Love it.
We're going to have a dinner in New York City. We're going to have a Jeffrey powwow, celebrate him dinner in New York.
Hey, I already texted you that on the back end.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome.
Good. Let's do it.
I think, is Nate, I can't see, is Nate here?
I am here, Amelia. Great segment.
Hello, Mr. Nate. How are you?
I am too blessed to be stressed. How are you? And when are you coming back to Vegas?
There we go. We are saying thank you to Jeffrey as he transitions out into his day in glorious Miami. And we are turning the mic over to you, Nate, you in the social media show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Amelia, and thank you, Jeffrey. I think he just bounced out, but that was a powerful interview. I picked up so many tips and nuggets, and he mentioned something that I want all you guys to take note of, the power of relationships. And sometimes we try to do all the things, and there's things that we need to do. There's tools and strategies and tips, and there are things that we can focus on, but sometimes we overlook one of the most powerful tips, not really a tip, one of the most powerful